WRKS Pickens Jackson.
They say we sing a driving song.
There's not going to be any singing around here. Just
real sports.
On the Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly.
Oh, this is going to be sweet.
And it's all right here, right now on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Twenty-second day of January 2024. Welcome in. Champ in the Chair Sports Maven on a Monday. Streaming on the zone1059.com. It is the Afternoon Drive. Glad to be with you courtesy of Ameristar Casino. Get out and play today. You can play the AFC, NFC Championship ball games at Ameristar. A lot of futures, NFL futures. A lot of good stuff at Ameristar Casino. 601-897-1059. That is the Malone Roofing caller line. ecmalone.com is their website. 8337-MALONE, commercial residential roofing done right. If you've had issues through the storms, you got a ton of rain, you're going to need a boat over the next 4 days. Is it about 4 days in it? A lot of rain. If your roof has issues, 8337-MALONE. You can always hit us up on the Cowboy Maloney's text line, 601-885-3776. Make your house a home today with Cowboy Maloney's. And, of course, 13 locations around the state of Mississippi, online at cowboymaloneys.com. And we're brought to you by our friends at Clinton Body Shop. X-Feed at Jake Wim. You can find Clinton Body Shop in Richland and Clinton, OEM factory certified, all the manufacturers you trust with Clinton Body Shop. Go to clintonbodyshop.com. Joseph Lisi, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, 3:30 in 30 minutes. Chris Landry, 4 to 4:30, and then a lot of other stuff as well. So I don't even know that after you told me what you just told me before we got on the air that I can even continue to do this show today. I feel like we may need to. I need to check out and go to the doctor. You and Bill think I'm out of here, like headed to the radio world in the sky any day now. Any day now. Maybe I can make it to the Super Bowl. Maybe I can do that. But, hey, if Taylor Swift is going to be at the Super Bowl, I don't know that I want to see it anyway. We'll get into that. Heisman Trophy odds are out for next year. Don't you need some Heisman Trophy odds on January 22nd? Of course you do. Of course you do. This is courtesy of FDS Sportsbook. Carson Beck at Georgia right now, along with Quinn Ewers, Texas, best odds you can get right now. And look, these are important odds. You may want to go ahead and drop in. We'll have them at Ameristar, all this stuff, and get your tickets today. Just think about it like this. Think about it as you're putting it in a savings account that's going to, if you hit, it's going to mature at the rate 7.5 to 1, 18 to 1. 20 to 1, whatever your CD rate is. Can we start referring to game tickets as CDs? I think we should. Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, 7.5 to 1. Dylan Gabriel, 10 to 1. He'll be at Oregon. That'll be actually a really good pick. That's a great value pick right there, 10 to 1. Will Howard, Ohio State, 12 to 1. Jalen Milroe, 12 to 1. Nico Iamaleava. Did I do that right today? At 15 to 1. That could be your best value pick. Jackson Arnold, Jackson Dart, both spelt differently, 18 to 1. So Ole Miss fans, you can get in and ready. Teddy can play Jackson Dart at 18 to 1. Teddy, it's time. Garrett Nussmeier, 18 to 1, and Riley Leonard along with others at 20 to 1. All right, big games over the weekend. What was your biggest takeaway over the weekend? Let me just kind of walk you through Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, you had both the number one seeds playing. 49ers, Packers was a fun game. I almost sent you some smack talk late in that game, and then I thought, let me just let this play out because I don't want to give him any fuel. Thankfully, I didn't. 49ers get over on a Packers team. Hey, is that going to be one of the best teams in the NFL next year? The Packers. Very well could be. Jordan Love. Did you see, though, the cut-ups? They put Brett Favre's interception next to Jordan Love's interception on Twitter. X, because Brett threw a pick way back when. I think he was with Minnesota or somebody. And both of them ran basically the same play, the same deal. They both did the same pick. Very weird. Very weird. But the Ravens get over on the Texans. It looked a little shaky early. Yesterday, Baker Mayfield decides to say, I'm done for the year, and so is Tampa Bay, and throws it right to the other team. Right to the other team. And then last night, I truly believe they have built Buffalo Stadium on an Indian burial ground or something weird. It just doesn't keep happening like that. Boom. Foot hits the ball, gone. Other way. So now we're set up with the two matchups this weekend. What was your thoughts as you watched all of this weekend?
The biggest takeaway, the Bills are the Bills. I've told you this the past 3 preseasons. 3 preseasons in a row, every offseason. Oh, they're a top 4 odds to win the Super Bowl. And every year, if you remember, do you remember what I say to you every year? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. The Bills, they keep putting them in there, and we keep seeing it. And so it's not shocking. It was not shocking at all.
But this was the Bills in the 90s. Same Bills. Different coach, different characters, different players. Same football franchise. Thurman Thomas loses his helmet in the Super Bowl. It just, something is wrong with this program, this organization. I'm telling you, they're cursed. There's a curse there. What else do you take away? Other than Travis Kelce's brother letting it all hang out of the press box. Or not the press box, the skybox or whatever, that luxury suite.
What I've taken away from this is I have flipped on you.
What?
I have completely flipped on all of this Taylor Swift nonsense. You want to keep blaming Taylor Swift? Y'all act like this is new. December 2021 is when I transferred my hatred, my extreme hatred from the Saints to the Chiefs. And then Swiftie pops up this year, and it's been going on since September. The first game I remember seeing was their game against the Bears. That was at the end of September. So it got old before Thanksgiving. Well, it's been 2 months since then. This crap's been going on for 4 months. I'm numb to it now. You know it's going to happen. So stop talking about it. Stop saying, oh, I'm tired of seeing Taylor Swift. Therefore, I flipped. I'm okay. Let's go, Chiefs.
Really?
Continue your journey.
But you know if... All right, so are they going to beat Baltimore?
Yes.
Really? Do you think... I mean, it looks like they very well could. Early lines at Ameristar. AmeriStarCasino.com/Vicksburg. Get the bet builder today. Go to the end zone. Chiefs are a 3.5-point dog on the road against the Ravens. The Lions are a 7-point dog on the road against the 49ers. So you get the 2 o'clock game and the 5. That's just such a fun day. Is that one of the funnest days of the year? I think it is. I know somebody texted in they loved this weekend, and I liked it too, but I think this coming up weekend, it's almost better than the Super Bowl because I don't have stupid halftime shows to watch. I don't have stupid parties to go to where people show up that don't watch football. I don't have stupid girls trying to shush you because they want to watch whoever's on the deal at the halftime show. I don't have people in there raiding the refrigerator and just acting all stupid because it's a Super Bowl weekend. To me, this is a better weekend than the Super Bowl. Can you agree with that or not?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's all about the games. Super Bowl's not all about the game. It's not even close to about the game. I almost don't even like Super Bowl Sunday. I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, you said that last year. And once again, I hate that. I hate your words that are coming out of your face.
It's just too much.
I'm still interested in seeing commercials have gotten horrible, but I'm still interested in seeing them. What kind of new nonsense are you going to throw at me? Halftime show, yeah, it's really trashy these days. But I still like to watch it. I don't know why. Even Ursher. I certainly don't care about Ursher, but...
Did you say Ursher?
Yeah.
Not Usher. Ursher.
Yeah, because remember the song, Yeah. The one with Lil Jon. Or no, was that Ludacris? Yeah, because it was those 3. And he said, Ursher got the beats, make your booty go clap. He said Ursher.
And that was on Super Bowl Sunday?
No, that was in the song.
Oh, okay.
That was in the actual song.
My God. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch the game. I'm going to obviously partake. It's one of those things, like, of course I'm going to partake. I'm a football guy. But because I'm a football guy, the rest of that stuff just like, this is a better weekend. They none of that crap here. They know the booty clapping, nothing in here. I mean, this is football. Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, 49ers. Can the Lions upset the 49ers? I think that they can.
They very well can, but I refuse in my heart to acknowledge it.
601-885-3776. That is the Cowboy Maloney's text line. We'll have Joseph Lisi get his thoughts on this in about 20 minutes. Chris Landry coming up at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to him as well. Real quickly, Pete Lembo signs a 5-year deal to be the Buffalo Bulls coach, not the Buffalo Bills. They're the ones in the MAC. We're the blue and white. Sources tell Action Sports Network. Lembo comes to Buffalo from South Carolina, where he was a special teams coordinator. Lembo was also a 112 and 65 in 15 years as a head coach at Lee College or Lee University, 2001 to 5. Also Elon, 2006 to 10, and then Ball State, 2011 to 2015. Hey, we are brought to you by the MT Insurance Group. Call Matt today, 601-594-3540. That's 601-594-3540. Let them shop quotes for you for your auto, home, and business. That's auto, home, and business. And, of course, contact Matt today, 601-594-3540. Monday edition of the program. Back in.
It's time to get
Back in the game.
with Jake Wimberly and the Afternoon Drive.
That's entertainment.
On the station that specializes in the Mississippi sports you love.
Now we're talking.
Live and local on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Joseph Lisi coming up in the next segment. Sirius XM Satellite Radio. We're brought to you by our friends at Gutter Masters, 601-503-7755. Online at guttermastersllc.com. Get protected today. A lot of rain this week. You ain't going to be able to get them in today. If you have them, they need work, or you don't have them, they'll do it for you. Go to guttermastersllc.com. Also, facebook.com/guttermasters. All right, let's see here. Talking NFL playoffs. A lot of transfer portal stuff going on out there. A lot of news to get to today. Joe in Possum Neck. You can text us 601-885-3776. That is the Cowboy Maloney's text line. Jason Kelsey fooled me. He turned out to be a Kelsey. Let me go shirtless all game, sucking down beers, and the idiot TV people gave him exactly what we hoped for by showing him every 10 minutes. I know, Joe, that's me too. Like, I do not find these people remotely entertaining. Jason Kelsey and his gut hanging out, hammering beers up there with Taylor Swift and all of the Mahomes clan. Like, it's nothing. Man, what are we doing? What is the NFL doing? Why? And Taylor leading this back and forth swaying of the fans. And this is football. This is a football nightmare is what this is. This is a football disaster. If we keep on, the Kelseys and Taylor Swift are going to kill the NFL. Let's go to Gator Matt. Matt, welcome in.
See, you're telling me you didn't rip your shirt off like Jason Kelsey last night?
No.
I know you did.
Maybe I need to. Maybe that will work inversely against him and get them eliminated. I will do it if it will cause Baltimore to win. I'm all in on Baltimore this weekend.
Or did you throw your fiance a little heart thing after Jason?
Didn't do that either. Maybe I need to do the whole deal.
My wife was so damn tickled. Jake, I'm going to go ahead and give you my final. Look, I know we got like 84 teams in the playoff next year, but I'm just going to give you my final four. Can we do this?
Absolutely.
Can we do this? I'm putting the Rebels in there, Jake. And I'm riding and I'm dying with that train right there. Black Bears will be in the Final Four next year. I'm going to take Texas. Jake, have you seen what Oklahoma's doing? Not Oklahoma. You see what Ohio State's doing?
Yeah, they're. I've got several things teed up on them today. They're unbelievably doing well.
I know you look, I know you. You're going to be wearing damn Ohio stuff all next year. I have that feeling. Jake, they're going to be pretty good. Let me tell you, I'm putting them in the Final Four, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to put Utah in there.
Oh, I like that.
Because they've got grown men on their team, and I think their quarterback's coming back for like his 12th season. So that's who I've got. Ole Miss. Who did I say? Ohio State.
Texas.
Did I say Texas? Yes. And then Utah. Those are my Final Four. Write it down. Was it January 22nd?
Yep.
Book it. Can I place some sort of futures bet on that? I don't know what the odds would be. But,
yeah.
Jake, I'm going out to Seven Brew Coffee. Jake, have you been to Seven Brew?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Have no idea.
It's like it is a coffee place. It had a baby with Chick-fil-A. The kids come out there with iPads. They're booking. They're zooming people through. It's fantastic. Jake, I'm trying to get you some more business.
Thank you,
I've
Matt.
already tried talking you into Bojangles. I mean, Jake, I'm trying to get you other business, somebody that just doesn't sell panty and porn. See ya.
Oh, Matt always has the best exits of any caller we have. He really does. Hey, what do you think about his Final Four? Ole Miss, Ohio State, Texas, and look, don't laugh at that Utah pick. They're playing in the Big 12. That's the easier path of anybody to get to the playoff. Now, obviously, then they got to win a couple games to get to the Final Four. What do you think about that?
I'm more intrigued by the Seven Brew building.
With the iPads and the kids?
Yeah, the building's so neat looking. It's one of those prefab things. They bring it in on a truck and just plop it in the parking lot.
Oh, is this that thing over in Flowood?
Yeah, they just opened one in Pearl, one in Flowood. Yeah, they're all over.
Really?
I say all over. Those are the only two I know of, but I'm sure there are more.
So what do you think about now? Joe and Possum Neck is not on your side on this whole deal. He is totally against Jason Kelsey and everything that happened yesterday. So you and Joe are going to be on opposite sides of the fence on this.
I don't support the Kelseys.
Well, if you're supporting Taylor Swift, you indirectly do. They're basically family now. Unnamed texter. Lions all the way. They remind me of the Saints when they were trying to get their first Super Bowl. Got to pull for them. Also, Ole Miss, Wayne County, Benito Jones plays for them. Yes, he does. He does a great job. Look, that Lions team is really good. I think you could shake them up this weekend and pull a combination of the four out. As a matter of fact, Rafael Esparza on MyBookie.ag sent over. Did you get his recent email on this, on the odds? So he gave you kind of a combination, early Super Bowl odds, depending on who played who. So if it's the 49ers and the Ravens, these are courtesy of MyBookie.ag. The Niners would be a 2-point favorite over the Ravens out the gate. If it's the 49ers Chiefs, the Niners would be a 3-point favorite. If the Lions play the Ravens would be a 5.5-point favorite. And if the Lions play the Chiefs, it'd be a 4.5-point favorite. So it looks like, if the 49ers make it, the NFC is going to be the favorite. If the Lions make it, the AFC is going to be the favorite. Is that fair? I think that's probably fair. Why are we sleeping on the Lions? They could win this whole thing. You realize that? I don't think that they will. They could. But I feel like we're sleeping on them just a little bit. All right, let's see here. A couple of the notes here. Former Alabama freshman offensive tackle Caden Proctor announces he is headed to Iowa. So other schools are continuing to enjoy the fruits of the Alabama transfer portal labor. The University of Florida, notice Matt did not mention this at all, is under NCAA investigation regarding the recruitment of quarterback Jaden Rashada. Industry sources tell Action Sports Network. Rashada signed with Florida, if you remember, but was released from his letter of intent and currently at Arizona State. This was first reported by M. Baker TB Times on X. We'll get into that story. And San Jose State has a new football coach. And I can't ever remember how to pronunciate this guy's name. It was the guy that was at our Navy, Ken. Oh, Coach Ken. We'll go there. We'll go Coach Ken. So if you care. Hey, Ohio State this month in the transfer portal, Lands the number one quarterback in Julian Sayin from Alabama, 6th overall. Lands number one running back Quinshon Judkins, Ole Miss, 8th overall. And lands the number one safety Caleb Downs as well. Ohio State is all in on this year. What's interesting about this, and we'll get into this Rashada story, Ohio State is all in on this, and Ole Miss is all in on this too. So who's gonna have the better year, Ohio State or Ole Miss, or could we see an Ohio State Ole Miss national championship game? What about that, Beef? Ohio State Ole Miss for the national title. And this was Buffalo's best chance to erase a horrible past against the Chiefs yesterday. Instead, here we go again talking about Scott Norwood. And this is courtesy of SI.com before SI dies. And the Eagles say they have a press conference on Wednesday with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. And Ian Rappaport said this is another sign that Sirianni will be back in 24. Will A.J. Brown be back? That's the question. Or will he be back on the market? Jason in Flagstaff, what do you know about this new Arizona coach? I see the majority of the team is coming back. I don't know anything about Brett Brennan. They were going to be one of my playoff picks before Jed Fish. Mr. Scrooged everyone. I'll get you some information on him. It's definitely going to take them a step back. I mean, Arizona would have likely been a co-favorite for the Big 12 championship next year with Arizona, Utah, maybe Kansas State. But they lost their quarterback to Ohio State. And they still could be. But, man, I think that does set them back just a little bit. And we'll get into that as well. One more note here before we go to break. Courtesy of Tom Pelissero, 3-time Pro Bowl tight end Zach Ertz is signing with the Lions. Ertz will start out on the practice squad and plans to potentially elevate him for the NFC Championship game, a boost for the final stretch. So he will be eligible to play this weekend. And the Bears are working towards a deal to hire Sean Walden as their new offensive coordinator. It was looking like last week Cliff Kingsbury, but now it's Walden. Walden, 44, spent the last 3 seasons as Seattle's offensive coordinator, and he's expected to land in Chicago. Of course, they own the number 1 pick in the draft with Caleb Williams on the board. We're brought to you by Cowboy Maloney, 70 years in the business, Mississippi owned and operated, largest appliance inventory in the state. Go to cowboymaloneys.com to learn more today. You can text us 601-885-3776. Joseph Lisi, Sirius XM.
Breach of children.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the time has come to go back.
Back to the afternoon drive with Jake Wimberly. With the hottest sports stories of the day.
for one of those moments, it only happens
Right here.
On ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Taking you through a Monday. We're streaming on the zone1059.com, podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and more. Just search The Jake Wimberly Show. We're brought to you by Maristar Casino. Get out and play. 4 great restaurants to serve you on the property. Also, the End Zone Sportsbook. Lots of sports gaming, slots, craps, everything you need. Poker, blackjack, and the bottleneck on the weekends. Joseph Lisi on X at Go for the Two. College football and NFL analyst. You can find him on Carver and Lisi, Channel 159, Sirius XM, Satellite Radio. Great program, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's Eastern Time, so it'll be 7 to 9 Central. And, of course, find him on the Sports Grid as well. Joseph, welcome in, brother. How you doing?
Doing well, Jake. Happy belated New Year. Always a pleasure. And we're coming down to the final stretch run for the NFL and, obviously, college football. Always relevant. Absolutely.
I appreciate you, moving around for me. Moving around today. All right, let's talk college, and we'll get to the NFL real quick. First, a little college news. Your thoughts of everything going on at Alabama, the exodus of sorts. I mean, Chris Marler, Saturday Down South, put it out last week. 25, 26 guys. If you kind of put that in the baking pan in the 247 or on 3 to get you a recruiting class, that's like the 6th best class this year leaving the program. I do like Kalen DeBoer, but I just feel like this is going to set this program back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree 100%. It's not to take away from what Kalen DeBoer has done at Fresno State and Washington State. Very good programs and did a fantastic job. Got the Huskies to the national championship game, but they were under the radar programs. And I sort of, equated Alabama to playing and coaching in New York with the Knicks, the Rangers, the Mets, the Yankees. Some people can cut it, others can't. And then from the players' perspective, they're taking a wait-and-see approach because you have one of the best, if not the best, head coach in Nick Saban that won 7 national championships, 1 at LSU, 6 at Bama. They can only regress, right? I mean, that's the way you look at it from a statistical, analytical standpoint is that, they were at the pinnacle. They made it to the college football playoff. They lost. Now with a new head coach, there's going to be growing pains. And what if it's a situation like Brian Harsin at Auburn where they completely regressed and he was gone out the door in 2 years? So that is the downside for Alabama right now. And when you see Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin recruiting and you see Brian Kelly, that is a tough animal to hit the ground running in just year number 1.
Boy, Ohio State is really, going all in this year. You look at what Ryan Day has done, the collective up there is doing. Quinshon Judkins, speaking of Ole Miss, headed to Ohio State. You got a quarterback coming in from Kansas State. They have really worked this thing hard, and I would say way too early. It's Oregon and it's Ohio State in the Big Ten, and you could make a case for both of those teams nationally.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, with Dylan Gabriel coming in from Oklahoma to Eugene to take the torch from Bo Nix and what Dan Lanning has built in terms of an offense and defensive line perspective, they're going to be there. But you're right. From a recruiting aspect, Ohio State has lured these players, right? Quinshon Judkins, which is absolutely crazy to think about, one of the best SEC players, 1,000-yard rusher, dropped off a little bit last year in terms of, Jackson Darton, the offense. For him to go to Columbus in the Big Ten, where, has Ryan Day elevated that program? I said it to a buddy of mine. I get your take. The NIL, they are pumping the money out there in Columbus to lure Will Howard, to lure Caleb Downs, and now, Quinshon Judkins there. What are they giving these players from an NIL perspective? And is Ryan Day the right guy to actually coach this talent up? Only time will tell.
Joseph Lisi on your radio, Monday edition of the program. Make sure to find him on SiriusXM channel 159 tonight, 7 to 9 all week long. They'll have you teed up NFL and college, also Sports Grid Radio and GoForThe2.com. All right, NFL, what was your takeaway of the games this past weekend? You look at Buffalo, and I am not joking when I say this. There's got to be some kind of a curse going on up there. When you look at what happened yesterday, you go back into the 90s, that team just cannot get over the hump. And, of course, you get into the 49ers with a comeback against the Packers. A lot of great football this weekend, and I think we got 2 great games on Sunday.
Yeah, we really do, and I think they're great matchups. We'll start with Buffalo. Just from a mental aspect, right? It's almost like they believe they can't knock off Kansas City. It's just something about them that when it's crunch time, the Buffalo Bills fail to step up and make plays. I will credit Kansas City, and Pat Mahomes did a fantastic job. We saw the consistency with Travis Kelce 2 weeks ago. He has 7 receptions, 72 yards, hits pay dirt late yesterday. But the other factor as well, and I said this to my partner on air, Jake, was where was Stephon Diggs? You're going down in terms of your house in Orchard Park. Stephon Diggs didn't hit the end zone in the last 7 weeks, didn't have a 100-yard performance, dropped a big play. They try to get him the football, but I think it was too little, too late. In a game like that, where you run for 187 yards on the ground, when it's crunch time in the final 8 minutes, you have to go to your number one big playmaker and try to win that ball game with your best weapons. That's the downside for the Buffalo Bills. I was very impressed with Aaron Jones in that effort Saturday night against the front seven of San Francisco. They deserve to win, but credit Brock Purdy. I will say this, judging yesterday and watching that game play out with Tampa Bay, when Detroit and the game was on the line, what happened? The physicality of the offensive line, they were able to run the football with Jahmyr Gibbs. If they have that type of success in the first half, I think they're going to be in this ball game from start to finish in regards to San Francisco, especially if Deebo Samuel's not in that offense. That's going to be a huge blow to San Fran. I like Detroit early on, and I like the over in terms of the first game. I think that game is going to be a shootout with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you just kind of took my next question. I think I know where you're going here. So my question was going to be this: I see a path all the way to the end for Kansas City, just because it's Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. I think anytime you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid, you've got a shot. I see a path for Baltimore because of the way they're playing. their physicality. Lamar Jackson looks like he's in a different gear. San Francisco, same thing. Detroit, the kind of the party wrecker. Do you see a path for them not only to get there but to win this thing?
I do, and the path, I think, in this particular ball game, and we have a total of 50.5, is to run the football more consistently. Yesterday, it was Jared Goff, and it was the passing attack, right? It wasn't until they got the lead that they went back to the ground game with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think in this type of ball game where, they have to sustain drives. They can't get it, in my opinion, into a shootout with Brock Purdy because of how lethal he has been and with Christian McCaffrey in terms of that offense, right? You don't want to really maybe go score for score because the secondary is suspect. They entered that ball game against Tampa Bay, giving up 258 passing yards per game, and we saw Baker throw it for 302 touchdowns. So that is the downside in terms of getting into a high-scoring affair. I think they need to run the football, get this into a lower-scoring game, 21-17, get it to the fourth quarter and steal it that way, just the way Green Bay did it. And I understand it was a wet track, but Detroit is built from an offensive line perspective to play that style of football. They did it in the first meeting against Tampa Bay. That's what they need to do to win this ball game against San Francisco.
Coaching, Jim Harbaugh, second meeting coming up with the Chargers. Is that a done deal?
I believe so. I mean, I do you see a situation where Jim Harbaugh comes back to Michigan? I don't. He won the national championship. He can hand over the reins to Moore, and he can go back to the coaching in terms of the NFL. But it's the Chargers are bust, I believe. I mean, if it's not the Chargers, then I don't know what the right fit is. He's got to go with a team that has a prominent quarterback, and that's Justin Herbert. He could work with the defense. He's not going to go to like Atlanta or a team like Tennessee, in my opinion.
Joseph Lisi on your radio, Monday edition of the program, and of course find him on X and check him out on SiriusXM satellite radio. All right, so speaking of Harbaugh, if Harbaugh leaves to the NFL, obviously that opens up at Michigan. Is it as simple, and I think it could be, as just promoting from within their offensive coordinator who did a great job in the absence of Jim Harbaugh, and also, if that job comes open, that Michigan window, that 30-day transfer portal window opens, but promoting from within may stop some of the bleeding there.
Yeah, I think that's where they would give it and hand it over to Moore because of what he was able to do in terms of the interim coaching games, right? Think about it, Maryland, Ohio State. He coached up, and that staff coached that talent up without Jim Harbaugh in two of the team's biggest games to get to the national championship. So, yeah, I think that's what they do. And again, because they want to promote from within, they don't want the attrition. I've heard Brian Kelly being mentioned for that job. I mean, I just don't see it. I really don't.
Joseph Lisi, go for the two on X, and of course, find him on SiriusXM, channel 159, Carver and Lisi at night. Joseph, I appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the ball games coming up this weekend. Look, we'll chalk it up very soon.
Anytime, Jake. Love the show.
Thanks so much. Joseph Lisi on your radio, brought to you by Sound Communications, online at soundcomav.com. Collaborate, design, and build with Sound Communications. They've been around since 1955. Let them help you with your school, place of worship, or business today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly, where he's talking about anything and everything that's Mississippi sports.
No, great afternoon.
Right here on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online worldwide on The Zone 1059.com.
Appreciate Joseph Lisi jumping in. Go for the two on X, also channel 159, SiriusXM satellite radio, and host of the Sports Grid on Sports Grid Radio as well. Talking NFL playoffs, championship weekend coming up, also college football. We're brought to you by A1 Gear and Auto, your hometown vehicle specialist, 601-939-1060. Anything under the hood with A1 Gear and Auto. 15-plus years of great service in the state of Mississippi. We'll have Chris Landry coming up top of the hour. We're good 30 minutes talking NFL and college. Let's go to DJ. DJ, welcome in.
Hey, thanks, Jake. I don't know if you remember, but you remember about 2 years ago I called in and told you nobody was willing to spend under the table what Bama did. But once the money was above table, I didn't think Bama would be able to keep up. Do you remember that conversation?
Yep.
I think some of that's coming into fruition. And again, you remember about 4 weeks ago, I told you I was approached about joining a collective from Ohio State, and I don't think that is sustainable either. Do you?
The collectives, it could be, 10 years from now. No, I mean, asking the general public and even donors, for that matter, to continue to do this year in and year out, I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't know what the runway looks like. I would say that no. Over a long period of time, say 10 years, no, it's not.
And I guess I'm being specific to Ohio State. We enticed 3 first-round grades, and I don't think what we're doing this year is sustainable, and I think it sets us up for failure. That's my opinion, okay? And the other thing, and, of course, I'm being a little humorous here, but you remember 2 weeks ago, Lane Kiffin was strutting around like he was the king of NIL. Do you recall?
Yeah, he does that a lot.
And now he's on Twitter blasting Ohio State for being the king of NIL. Did you read that this weekend?
Yeah, Lane, he is a Twitter troll. There's no doubt about it. And he loves doing it.
But, yeah, 2 weeks ago he had that chest puffed out. Ole Miss was the king of NIL, and now the real king of NIL. And I'll be honest now, I don't say that with my chest out because I don't believe, and I have not yet to join a collective because I'm old school, and the thing is, but I'm not crazy. And the question you and your host, you and your guest brought up, if Ryan Day's not the guy to win it next year, he'll be looking for another job. Thanks, JD.
Thanks,
JD.
Appreciate it. 601-897-1059. Now, to be fair, if we look at the transfer portal rankings, it depends on how you quantify this. Louisville on on3.com, the Cardinals have the number 1 transfer portal class, but now their volume is so high. 21 out and 24 in. Colorado's number 2 at 18 out and 22 in. Ole Miss number 3 at 15 in, 17 out. Ohio State is down to 15th, 20 out, and 6 in. But Ohio State's 6 are really, really good. Same way with Texas, 14 out, 7 in. Very, very good. So it's just how do you quantify, Ole Miss is 15. Are they better than Ohio State's 7? Maybe. I mean, but Ohio State maybe has more impact players at key positions as well. Unnamed texter on the Cowboy Maloney's text line after the Detroit talk, all in on Detroit Lions, with a sunset photo in a snow and ice background in a backyard, said, I am free, back on the patio. Feels like summer. It's 47 degrees, low last night, -8. The great meltdown has begun. Bieber, what do you think this person is? Are they in Detroit? I mean, -8. That is cold. St. Louis Vic. Jake, we finally climbed out of the deep freezer, only to wake up covered by a sheet of ice, shutting down everything. I'm rolling with the Lions as well, but wouldn't really be upset or surprised if any of the remaining teams won out. What's the over-under on someone from the Mahomes family melting down because the Kelsey's stealing the spotlight? Love you guys. Love you too, Vic. I don't know. We haven't heard a whole lot from the Mahomes family. How do you think they're bottling all this beef? From Jackson, little Jackson, to Brittany. We don't ever hear about them anymore. I don't think that they're probably happy. Like internally in their self, they probably are not. How do you think they're dealing with this? And will Jackson Mahomes make some sort of a screw up over the next 2 weeks to try to overcompensate for being underneath the Kelsey Swift umbrella? I think it very well could happen. I think it very, very well could happen. Hey, should I do this for Detroit? And here's what I mean. Should I go all in on Detroit? We rode Michigan so hard and were able to get Michigan across the deal for the national title. I feel like that mojo may still have a little left in the bottle because it is Detroit, Michigan. Should I jump in and help Detroit pull them across the finish line? He's not even going to answer me. I'm thinking about doing it. I think there may be a little bit left in the tank. We already got the Wolverines across. We could pull the Lions across and then go ahead and give Michigan 2 championships in 1 year, the state of, and that they would be kings of football for the year. Wouldn't that be fair? Isn't that fair for me to do that? I'm really considering this.
No, it's not. And in 3 minutes, you referred to yourself as we twice, because I was certainly not on board with that. So
I thought that was me and you.
Include me.
I was including you on that.
No, and you look at me, a 49ers fan since I was 10, and legitimately ask me this to go in on the Lions.
49ers have won their share.
I would love it if you didn't speak to me the rest of the day now.
Oh, come on.
2 hours and 4 minutes we have left. I'm done. I'm done with this.
Come on. The 49ers have won their fair share. The Lions, it's been since like the 50s. I don't know that they can go to San Francisco and win that game, though. But I'm thinking about pulling for the Lions. I got to find somebody to cheer for over the next 2 weeks. My team's been out.
The 49ers. Do it.
I don't not like the 49ers. I mean, I like the 49ers. I respect the organization. I respect the history. I respect everything that goes on, the lineage, everything with the 49ers. I don't know. It's just something about the Niners right now that I don't know. I can't figure it out. All right, let's see here. Couple things. Which college football coach will be the next to win his first national championship? We'll get into Brad Crawford's predictions on that. You got several from Lanning, Day, Sarkisian, and more. Let's go back to DJ real quick. DJ, welcome back.
Real quick, I got to side with Beef here. Jake, bask in your glory. Okay, bask in your glory. Don't ruin it. You know Detroit cannot block the front of San Francisco. And the thing is, the game was only close this weekend because the weather was horrific, okay? You get a better field with that defensive front, those offensive weapons. Don't ruin it, okay? Everybody on 105.9 is like, man, Jake's pretty wise. He's on to something because you pushed that Michigan bandwagon. Don't ruin it just on a spur of the moment. You know what I'm saying? This is like, you know, you're everybody's looking up to you right now. Don't ruin it by a cheesy Detroit pick.
I think you're right, DJ. You and Beav just talked me back off the end of the rail. Beav, I've come back. I'm not going to do that. Now, will you rejoin the show for the next 2 hours?
All right.
Thank you. Hey, we're brought to you by BCI. Go to bcipeople.com to learn more today. For managed IT services, data backup solutions, ransomware protection, disaster recovery plans for your business or place of worship, BCI is here to help you. Your network knight in shining armor. 601-427-4185. Chris Landry will join us at the top of the hour. White Denzel. Does the Kirk Cousins curse continue after this weekend? No team has lost to Kirk in the regular season and made it to the Super Bowl. 49ers lost to Cousins.
Dude, how much mileage are you trying to get out of that, White Denzel? One day last week, you sent us that, and it was an awesome stat. And I was like, this is good. This is good stuff. And then the next day I come in, and I see it on the text line. He had sent it to Bo. And then I'm sitting in here that same day, and then he sends it to Matt. And now you've sent it to here a second time? Nope. It doesn't work this year.
Oh, no.
Lucas.
601-885-3776. Other stuff we'll get into real quickly. College football 2024 rosters most ravaged by the NFL draft and transfer portal. And a ton of other stuff as well as we move through the day. Tennessee gets a big commitment from a big-time quarterback over the weekend. Hour 2 coming up next.
The number you have reached.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. From college football to the NFL to high school football. 365 days a year. Hear it all on Jackson Sports Authority. Live and local at 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com. Now let's get back to the afternoon drive with Jake Wimberly.
Hour 2 on a Monday brought to you by Malone Roofing Services. ecmalone.com is their website, 8337 Malone. We're also brought to you by Mississippi Legends Grill. Bingo, trivia, kids eat free on Thursdays at Mississippi Legends Grill. Everybody knows your name. Get the NFL playoffs, championship weekend, Also, you can get the lunch special today on Facebook.com/Mississippi Legends Grill. Joseph Lisi, hour number 1. We'll get Chris Landry in here in just a bit as we move through the day. Again, Tennessee gets a commitment from George McIntyre. 6'5", 182-pound, 4-star, number 9 on top 247sports.com list. So he is committed to Tennessee. Also, Nebraska is expected to hire TCU general manager Anthony Crespino, as Crespino was at TCU and really helped kind of cultivate that whole deal with Sonny Dykes at SMU. He's headed to Nebraska. Also, LSU transfer offensive tackle Zalance Hurd has committed to Tennessee. Hurd was a 5-star recruit in the class of 2023 from LSU to Tennessee. And former Alabama quarterback Julian Sayin has committed to Ohio State. Sayin ranks as the number 7 national overall commitment, number 1 quarterback in the class of 2024 on On3's top 100. Also, Washington transfer wide receiver Jeremy Bernard is at Alabama. This was yesterday, expected to commit to the Crimson Tide. So he would be following Kalen DeBoer down at Tuscaloosa. Chris Landry on your radio. Of course, you can find him at Landry Football on X, also LandryFootball.com, talking NFL and college. Chris, welcome in. How's it going?
Jack, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, we're doing good. Just kind of recapping the weekend, looking ahead, and getting everybody kind of gauging the pulse of the room, so to speak, on who everybody kind of favors and likes with these two matchups coming up this weekend. Before we do that, some biggest takeaways for you over the weekend. Let's start with Saturday. The 2-1 seeds were playing, obviously Baltimore. It took them a little while to get going. Then they finally got to rolling against Houston. I think Houston's future is extremely bright. You look at the 49ers on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. The game against Green Bay, it looked like the Packers had them on the ropes there. And then, of course, San Francisco was able to, kind of recalibrate and bounce back. Your thoughts on Saturday's action?
A couple of things to keep in mind. On divisional round, it's where kind of Cinderella just goes asleep. The first round is where you have some surprises, and then that second round is where kind of the cream usually rises to the top, and rarely does that Cinderella make noise. Now, there's something else that I've noticed that's taken place over the years is if you got a bye, usually there's a slow start, and just the layoff and the rhythm, and it maybe being a little tight at home, for whatever, different teams in different situations, react differently. I think we saw some of that. But what I saw in Baltimore was a team that basically dominated the game. They gave up a punt return for a touchdown, or this game's 34-3. Houston didn't get inside Baltimore's territory with their offense. So this was a dominant defensive performance, and we got to kind of remind everybody now that it was 10-10 because of the slow start offensively. I thought they made some really good adjustments, Todd Monken did on offense, and just obviously blew them away. I thought Green Bay missed a real opportunity. I thought Jordan Love played well for the most part. I thought this team played with a lot of emotion. I thought San Francisco played very sloppy on offense. I didn't think Brock Purdy played well at all to the end. I thought he was great at the end and, did what they needed to do. But I thought there were 3 interceptions Brock Purdy threw that were dropped, that were bad throws. That would be talking maybe a different story. I thought Green Bay missed an opportunity. Yes, they've got a good future. They're the youngest team in the league, and they've got their future quarterback. So it's great, just like with C.J. Stroud you mentioned, the future is good. But I think they're going to look at that and say, well, we missed an opportunity, because I thought the Niners could have been – they were ripe for the taking on Saturday night the way they were playing. And I'm curious to see how they play it this week going forward. But those are my thoughts on Saturday. And then, Sunday, I tell you, I thought the Lions, the Bucks played them well. I thought I felt like Detroit, much like when they played the Rams in the wild card round, that they managed to respond to each team, but boy, they had a hard time putting them away. And I thought the Bucks were kept alive there. And I thought the grit of the Lions, I thought all of that showed well. I think Jared Goff has played well. when they need him to make a play. But I got to give the Bucs a lot of credit. I didn't give anybody in the NFC South any chance of doing anything, and it just goes to show you get in the playoffs, you never know. So the not the literal wild card, but the Cinderella Bucs Packers, they played pretty well, and they didn't get it done, but that was pretty good and pretty good effort. Last night, look, I thought going in that because of Buffalo's injuries on defense, that Kansas City was not only better, but appreciably better. I just didn't think Buffalo would be up. The whole narrative was weather in Buffalo. It's going to change now. It's different. And I'm like, you watching this defense, the linebackers were depleted. They had injuries in the secondary. And I thought the defensive line needed to step up. And, boy, they didn't do anything. They couldn't get off blocks. Kansas City ran it down their throat. And I thought, look, if it's not for the fumble out of the end zone for Haldeman, this game is over then, and it's a decisive win. I thought Josh Allen was outstanding. There were, like any game, I think there were a couple of throws that could have been better, and maybe a decision that could have been better. But the reality is, I thought he played outstanding, and I thought he gave them a chance to win in a game that I didn't give them much hope to. So that's my thought, and I just can't wait. I think we got Baltimore, that's been the best team in the AFC, probably more well-rounded, but with this Kansas City offense, I just put a piece up on LandryFootball.com about how this offense has gotten so much better. I wouldn't count out Kansas City. I'll say this. I like the winner of the AFC. I think those are the two best teams. I want to see more out of San Francisco, and I'm going to need to see more. And I think the weather and Purdy being uncomfortable, he's going to need to play a lot better for them to beat Detroit, and more importantly, if they get by Detroit, to beat what I think is a better AFC team in both options. So that's kind of how I saw the weekend's actions and evaluating the teams. But I do like the fact that we've got, in my view, the best teams, at least how they played out towards the end of the year.
Chris Landry talking NFL weekend. Of course, we've got the AFC, NFC championships coming up this weekend. Monday edition of the program on X at Landry Football, LandryFootball.com. Chris, do you see a path when you look at Detroit for them to get to the Super Bowl, and not only that, for them to win this thing?
They've got a shot, but I think San Francisco's better. I just think that the San Francisco we saw against Green Bay is not going to cut it. That's not going to beat Detroit probably, but I think they're going to play better. I think that Purdy will play better. I think we'll see. The weather forecast is better, but we'll see how that plays out. I mean, look, everybody laughs and we talk about hand size all the time. That's why we talk about it. When you have smallish hands, and we're talking about a late round draft pick, and Purdy's just out over his skis in terms of what he's accomplished thus far, but you have some of those issues when the ball is wet, and I think if it's a cleaner weather, then I think you'll play better. But I didn't think they played their best on either side of the ball. They're going to have to play better, and I suspect that they will. And I expect them to beat Detroit. I think this is kind of where it ends for Detroit. But I'll say this: I know what I'm going to get out of Detroit. I know that they're good. I know they've got a lower ceiling than San Francisco. But I want to see more consistency out of San Francisco, and they're going to need to play better than last week if they're going to beat them.
Chris Landry talking NFL playoffs. We got to take a timeout. We come back, we'll carry on a little more NFL. May get him a college question before we get out of here at 4:30. He'll be with us till right at 4:30. Of course, Madison PTS is sponsoring this portion of the program. Go to Madison PTS's website today or call 601-898-1828. We'll be out with Bill Thomas and his team on Thursday. Ribbon cutting for their new sports performance building in Gluckstadt. And, of course, they can help you today. Help your athletes today. 601-898-1828.
Okay, we're back. I'm ready. It's more The Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly, where he's live and local on Jackson Sports Authority, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, and online at thezone1059.com.
Taking you through Monday, we're brought to you by Williams Newman Williams. When you need a win, a car wreck, truck accident, nursing home neglect, online at WNWlegal.com. Chris Landry on your radio. One more segment. LandryFootball.com is the website. And, of course, Landry Football on X. All right, Chris, so a couple questions about some of the teams that exited this past weekend. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield. We'll see what happens. Is he going to be back? Does he have a long-term future there? Can that organization take the needed next steps over the course of the offseason to get further even next year?
Yeah, I think that they would like to get a deal done with him. It needs to make sense. I mean, it's obvious sometimes folks say, well, just sign him, whatever. The price has to be right. I think they want to bring him back, but also think they need to look for other options into the future, too, with a younger guy that I think that they'd feel more comfortable with than, say, Kyle Trask, who I don't think is the answer to the future. So I think, to me, with the quarterback position, you always try to look at younger options down the road that you may bring in, but I think bringing him back is something that they need to do. And, look, I think this team proved to be a little bit better as the year went along, but I still think they've got some work to do. And I thought they got hot at the right time, but I think they need to improve their running game. I thought they ran the football better than I thought they would. Because they haven't been a good running team all year long. They ran well against Detroit. But I think with improvements, we don't know yet what's going to happen in Atlanta, although it's trending in one direction and Saints are making changes. And so I think there's always that arms race there.
Chris, when you look at Buffalo, I don't want to say I don't like using the term peak. Have they peaked? But have they peaked?
Well, here's what I think. I think, I don't know that I would say they peaked. Here's what I believe they need to do. I don't like necessarily how the team is constructed. What I mean by that is they play in Buffalo, and they got to play in Buffalo in January, or in most cases they do. They need to get more physical at the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. They need to run the football more consistently. Joe Brady really got that running game going better, but they need to run the football and defend the run better. That's what they need to do better. Josh Allen is the answer. He's one of the elite guys. He is not the problem. He's not the reason that they haven't advanced. He's actually uplifted them more. I think Kansas City has the best quarterback in the league, but I also think they have a better team and they're better constructed. That defense is legit. Buffalo needs to get more physical. They need to get tougher, and I think that's what they need to do. And they've got to have some hard discussions on how to do that. And, that to me is the difference. So I think maybe, to use your phrase, the way they're doing it, I think is beyond peaked. I think it's reached its point where it's not going to get any better until they're able to adjust the physicality of this team.
You mentioned Joe Brady. Man, that was a hot name coming out of LSU after Joe Burrow and that whole deal in 2019. And, of course, there is nothing wrong with being an offensive coordinator for an NFL franchise. But what's the word around the industry on this guy and why he maybe has not gotten an opportunity to be a head coach yet?
Well, he's a good young coach. He's got a lot of publicity in the LSU year. And, look, he did a great job. Let's just call it what it is. Joe Burrow was the reason why they won it, and Joe Brady was a part of it. He wasn't the full-time play caller either. Now, it was his first involvement in some of the play calling, but the reputation is that bright young coach came and learned under Sean Payton, that system, and is just learning and developing, and I think he's done a really good job. But I think a lot of it is people start throwing his name out like anybody that needed a Joe Brady, like, he's really good, but he ain't bringing Joe Burrow with him. So if you're Alabama, if you're Ole Miss, he's not like he's the magic elixir. He's really good, to answer your question, and I think can be a good head coach in the NFL one day. And I think his time will come. I don't think it's there yet. I think it would make a lot of sense for him to, for them and for him to stay in Buffalo with a great quarterback. And I think from there he could move on. He could do what Brian Daboll was able to do, parlay being the coordinator there with Josh Allen, into a head coaching job in the NFL. I just don't think he's there yet. Brian Daboll had a lot more experience when he got his opportunity. Just that Joe's just too green at this point. He's good, but then the head coach is a different animal.
Jim Harbaugh, second interview coming up with the Chargers. I don't want to say is it a done deal, but is it looking like a done deal?
Well, he said he had going to have a second one with Atlanta too.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's I think with Jim, you always running the danger of kind of predicting what's going to happen with him. I don't know that it's a done deal. Do I expect him to take one of these jobs? I do. But I don't know. I don't think money's going to be a problem. Though the Chargers are the Spanos are the least wealthy, maybe I can phrase it that way, owners in the NFL. That's not going to be a problem. They spend money on players. They'll spend money with him, I believe. So, yeah, I think it could be. I think it's a lot of what it is in the NFL, and you see a lot of these second interviews, is the first one is to kind of get to know one another. And the second interview is usually where you get into the details. The devil's in the details, as they say. And I think, how it's going to be structured, how the organization is going to be structured. And I think, Jim, to me, the Chargers organization is in that job opening is a good one, not just because of the quarterback, but they let their general manager go. So it would appear that you could go there and name your own GM if you're Jim Harbaugh. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. But until it's done, we'll have to wait and see.
Chris, before we get you out of here, I'm going to ask you a college football question. We won't know until these teams, the rosters really settle out and we see what's going on. But it's kind of eye-opening what's going on at Ohio State. You look at Ryan Day, they've really kind of given him, it looks like, all the tools he needs to try to make this thing, make a run at everything, and get back to, the national semifinal, the national championship. When you look at some of the guys they brought in, and transfer quarterback from Kansas State, Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss, some other players as well. It looks like it's, I don't want to say bang or bust for Ryan Day, but it looks like that's the way they're playing this thing.
You lose a couple of years in a row to Michigan, that affects you, huh?
Yeah.
That's what that is. And it's folks don't know, it's the largest alumni base that there is. And, in terms of just numbers, I'm not saying that they spend the most money or whatever, but they are spending it right now. That collective I'm hearing is way, way up there. And they're putting a lot of money into this, and we're putting all our chips in. I think it is, no question. And, I think it is. They are going to be. They may be. We'll see. They may be the team to beat. I think they'll be the favorite in the Big Ten. They'll be the most talented. But like you said, let's wait and see and make sure all those guys are there and don't leave and some of these things don't fall apart. But they got some familiar names for Mississippi State fans that's going to be competing at quarterback, and who knows? They're all in, no question about it. And that's we talk about it in the South, that, the rivalries and whatnot. I have been around and, of course, lived in Cleveland when I worked for the Browns. That's Ohio State, Michigan it is fierce a rivalry as there is at any level, anywhere, anytime. And losing for, a couple of years and having Michigan win the national championship on top of it, that just does not sit well in Columbus, and they're doing everything they can financially to make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and you stay in that conference. You look at Oregon, what Dan Lanning has done, rightfully so. I mean, it would appear at least today that Michigan is going to slide a little bit. We'll see. Harbaugh may not be there. Penn State, I just don't see them being ready to make that next step. That Oregon could come in being the second best team in that league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Washington's in a transition. No question about it. There's nobody else that's ready to kind of make that jump. And I do think that, I think the one team that we've got to see if they're going to make the jump, I'm not a big fan of Lincoln Riley, but USC's got some potential there, resource-wise, to be in that elite group. But, no, I don't expect them to be that this year. We'll see. I think that Oregon's right there and, probably challenging Ohio State for preseason favorites in the Big Ten.
Chris Landry, make sure to find him on X at Landry Football, LandryFootball.com. Chris, always appreciate your time. Enjoy the championship games, and when we talk next week, we'll have a Super Bowl matchup to preview.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Have a great one.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Chris Landry on your radio. We're brought to you by Mac Hike and Madison Gluckstadt. Get that great Mac Hike feeling today. Your Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep Chevy dealer in Madison Gluckstadt. Online and on site at MacHikeMadison.com. New and used inventory available now. MacHikeMadison.com. Also on site in Madison Gluckstadt. Get that great Mac Hike feeling today. Back
For adults only.
This is the Home Show every weekday from 10 till noon on Mississippi's live and local sports authority. And where? We're back to Jake Quiverly with the afternoon drive on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
We're brought to you, by the MHSAA, 601-924-6400. Online at MISSHSAA.com. If you want to be an official, you can do that with the Mississippi High Schools Activities Association, the MHSAA. We'll have the basketball championships coming up in several weeks. We'll put that on your radar. It will be basketball championship season before you know it. All right, let's see here. Appreciate Chris Landry jumping in. That will be on the podcast. We'll get that set up for you as we move through the week. Just search for the Jake Wimberly podcast. All right, Joe is just now figuring out that Lamar Jackson looks like the Predator. B, what do you think about this? Where's Joe been?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been referring to him as the ogre. He's more ogre-ish than predator-ish, I think. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, I've been referring to him as the ogre for a while.
You've done that for several years, haven't you?
Yeah. I've felt that way for a while.
I think you're right. Let's see. And White Denzel, are you and White Denzel about to get in the ring?
Maybe.
It's what it looks like.
He told me not to get sassy. Excellent use of the word sassy. We don't. That's not a word that's used very often.
I don't hear sassy often, like the word, like you said.
I don't either.
Don't be sassy. Now, when you were growing up in the 80s, your grandmas and them, 90s, hey, boy, watch that, get that sass out your mouth.
Yeah, sass mouth.
Yeah. Do we have a lot of sass mouth? Do we have more sass mouth today than ever?
Yes.
It's all internet driven. Every bit of it. Every single bit of it. All right, let me get into some of this other stuff. Former LSU, Auburn, and Texas State. Boy, you start rattling them off. LSU, Auburn, Texas State quarterback TJ Finley has committed to Western Kentucky. He did throw for 3,439 yards and 24 touchdowns this past season. So he'll go to Western Kentucky and throw for 5,000, and then we'll be talking about him in the NFL draft. That's what will happen. Also, does Ohio State have the deepest quarterback room in college football? We'll get into that. I have not even begun to get close to crowning who I think is going to be the national champion next year. Now, Ohio State did come in at number 1. No, Georgia was 1, Ohio State 2 in my way too early top 10. This Ohio State team, I don't want to stay in the Big Ten next year. I am looking for a way out. But, man, they look pretty good right now.
Do they? I mean, look, okay, who was it that just committed? Not Will Howard, but just committed. They got a second quarterback commitment.
They did. They got let me find it here because I had that.
Oh, the kid from Bama.
Julian Sayin.
Yeah. Okay, look, this Will Howard character is pretty good. I don't think, my view of Ohio State, okay, you know how I felt about Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL. And C.J. Stroud has busted that wide open this year.
He sure did.
That is transferred now to the Ohio State quarterbacks at Ohio State are now taking that role. Will Howard, that doesn't do anything for me. And, of course, we haven't seen the Saiyan kid, so I don't know.
Well, what do you mean Will Howard doesn't do anything for you? I mean, this is a guy that led Kansas State to 9 wins. He threw 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions this past year, 2,643 yards, completing passes at 61% completion rate. Rushed for 9 touchdowns and 351. I mean, it's
about as nice as Maryland.
Can we say he is a Walmart version of Bo Nix? Is that fair?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And I'm looking last year, 2022, not as productive on the ground. It was okay. But, I mean, if you put him with that talent, and now you're putting a dual-threat quarterback with that backfield, I mean, they just picked up Judkins, and if he's healthy, you know what kind of year he could have up there. And you're also going to pair him with TreVeyon Henderson. I mean, he was a couple crumbs under 1,000 yards. He rushed for 926. Can I give him 1,000 and 11 touchdowns? So you've got 2,000-yard backs in the backfield and a mobile quarterback and a good offensive front, a loaded roster. Now the question becomes Ryan Day. Do you believe in Ryan Day? Will 2024 be the day of the Buckeye? See what I did there?
The day. Oh, the day. Okay.
The day of the Buckeye.
I see. Well, no, it still won't be because now they've got Oregon coming in.
See, I kind of like Oregon to win that conference right now. I like Dan Lanning. Like, I think if him and Ryan Day were in a street fight, I'm taking Dan Lanning. Like the way Dan Lanning went after Deion Sanders and ripped his head off in the pregame. Remember that? Like Dan Lanning, he's a guy that had time under Kirby. He was a dog like Kirby because, Kirby doesn't mind telling you he's going to rip your face off either. He was under Saban. He's kind of built in that mold. I don't know that Ryan Day, I don't know that they can handle Oregon. Does that make sense? Like in that conference?
No.
Like I don't know that they want that smoke.
No, I don't think so. And look, I still think it's absolutely, I thought it was ridiculous last year when they were talking about firing him. What is his record still? He only has 8 losses, right? Or did he just tack on a bunch of losses? I don't remember.
No.
I thought it was ridiculous that I wouldn't go so far as to keep talking about firing the man, but you just couldn't get past one opponent, which was Michigan, and now I don't think you can get past one opponent, a different opponent. I think it's Oregon now.
I'm going to look at their football schedule for this year. I mean, Ohio State's going to be in the playoff. There's no doubt about it. I think Oregon's going to be in the playoff out of the Big Ten. All right, so Ohio State this year, they open up with the Akron Zips. Joe Moorhead will get throttled. I wonder if Ryan Day will ask him to size his ring up pregame. Then they play Western Michigan. They get a bye. They'll take on Marshall. They'll cakewalk to 3-0. Michigan State, it's not even a nice team. It's a rebuilding team. They'll go to 4-0. Iowa, they'll go to 4-0. October 12th, game day will be there at Oregon. They're going to Autzen Stadium. And right now, I would say that Oregon has a shot to run them out of the building. Maybe. But that'll be the big kicker. Then they get a bye week. They play Nebraska at Penn State. I'm not buying Penn State like you do. Purdue at Northwestern, Indiana, and they host Michigan. They got one ball game because I think they'll beat Michigan this year. Michigan will play them extremely tough. At Penn State, they'll do the whole whiteout thing. But I think it's Oregon. Conversely, if you look at the Oregon Ducks in that conference, they open up with Idaho. They play Boise State. They play at Oregon State. Bye week at UCLA. Michigan State. Both teams will be undefeated when they meet on October 12th. Then it's at Purdue, Illinois, at Michigan, Maryland, at Wisconsin, bye week, Washington at home. So that's the the Oregon Ducks schedule. But I do like this Ohio State roster, all jokes aside. Mr. DX, Kirby Smart, Yeah, he's known to say that. He likes that whole eat off the floor thing. And I think Georgia's probably going to be number one going into the season. But I think you're going to have Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas right there as well. Is it time to move Alabama back in the pack?
How far back?
10, 9.
Like 10 spots or to number 10?
To number 10.
You act like that's disastrous.
We just moved them way back, right? Way back. Like 7 spots. Who would you take today if they were playing Ole Miss? Ole Miss, Alabama, neutral site ball game. I'm taking Ole Miss.
The loss of Saban changes the game entirely, I think. So right now, I'd say Ole Miss.
Hey, we're brought to you by Capital Orthopedic, online at capitalortho.com. Get your same-day appointments today. Move better, be better, live better with Capital Orthopedic. Flowood, Madison, Clinton, Brookhaven, Hazelhurst, and Kosciuszko. You can also call 601-987-8200. Schedule an appointment today, capitalortho.com. Timeout on the floor. 6.
And action!
We got that and a whole lot more around here. It's the Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly.
What's the score?
He's got that, along with the hottest sports stories of the day on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Brought to you by Burgers Blues Barbecue, Madison, Brandon, and Flowood. We'll be out in Flowood on Friday. Friday, 3 to 6. We'll tell you more about that as we get closer to the weekend. And, of course, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Madison and in Brandon. Or Madison Flowood, excuse me. Also, great meals in Brandon as well. Go to burgersbluesbarbecue.com. Find them on Facebook as well, as you can get out and enjoy. All right, let's see here. Rebel Godfather. You can text us 601-885-3776. That is the Cowboy Maloney's text line. And Penn State won't win anything big with James Franklin Mullen coaching. Got to see it, right? Penn State has, it seems like, annually won 10 ball games. They just can't win the big one. And the big one would even include bowl games. You look at the way Ole Miss, moved them around, do whatever they wanted, and Ole Miss took them to the woodshed, so to speak. All right, let's see here. Let me get into some of these pieces. Oh, what you got?
I need you to refresh your text screen, because I feel like you're missing some again. That's not for you. I mean, that's not on you. That computer's acting dumb.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. There is. Wow. Yeah, it's this text. It's whatever's going on over here. Our IT department is like Vanderbilt football. Are they not? Can we say that? Even the people that work in this building, it's Vanderbilt.
Actually, I blame it on this program here. What is this? We use Google Voice because this one has been trashed for the past week too.
Really?
I have to keep refresh. It'll show at the top. You have 2 texts, but then you have to refresh the page for those 2 to show up. Then when you read the 2, you have to refresh it again for that 2 at the number 2 at the top to disappear. I don't know why I'm telling all this inside Google Voice information, but whatever. It's dumb.
Well, we had to rebuild this whole number over here because the other one was broke. Now we need to rebuild this. We'll do that. All right, let's see here. Maurice, tell Beeve the Lions and Ravens. Lions 28, Ravens 35, Lions 28. So he's calling for a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl.
Oh, Maurice. Look, I know Maurice is a Ravens fan, but why must you go against me with the Lions? See, I've liked the Lions all year, though. I've been telling you, I love Dan Campbell.
Wait a minute.
He came in, he was so dumb.
You just walked me off the Lions an hour ago.
I'm not picking the Lions. I'm saying I have liked the Lions all year. I love Dan Campbell. That doesn't mean that now that they play, I'm picking them against the 49ers. Of course not.
Yeah, let me go way back. I'm sorry. I have missed several of these. The real unnamed texter. Which day will be dedicated to the Lions? So now he wants me to do a Lions dedication day, similar to Michigan. Do we need a Lions dedication day? for the rest of the week. Well, it'll only be one day.
That text didn't happen. Don't devote any time to that.
Moving
on.
Tommy Anaheim. Let's cheer up everyone from Michigan. Tigers, Red Wings, Pistons. I mean, might as well, right? Let's just do the whole state for the whole year.
Pistons don't deserve anything. No.
Dexter. Sorry I missed these guys. Detroit can block the 49ers. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter ball game. Can we get that? I want 2 good ball games on Sunday. Chief Shooting Bull. Jake, you cheer for an early spring. Detroit could slide in there, but not probable. JM. Jake, I don't understand so many people's hatred of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's dating deal. He plays for the world champs in the NFL, and she is a tall, sexy, world-renowned artist, and the haters think she isn't entitled to watch her man play. It sounds like pure jealousy to me. JM. Now, JM, I'm not jealous of Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift, but when I watch my football, I don't need to see every time Taylor Swift waves a pom-pom or every time she's having a breakdown in a box. Or I don't need to see all that. Show me some random guy eating some nachos in the stands. We don't need to see that, do we?
No. And it sounds like JM has gone full bore Swifty.
Yeah.
Man, what? And I've never found that girl sexy. She's got weird cat eyes. But I will say, she's got catchy stuff. Well, I've told you, 1989, it's a fantastic pop album. But I'm not going to go on board with JM, though.
Real C. Collins is 100% in on the Lions, pulling this deal off. So he is in on the Lions, Beeve. Let's see. What else did I miss here? Possum Neck Joe, we got that. Toddy. Jake, Space Ghost just wishes his... He wishes he could be called Sassy? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he calls him a sissy. And he wishes he was called Sassy instead of that. One letter changes a lot.
Oh, it does. It does. And let's see here. CWR. Ohio State is like Texas A&M. They pay a lot of money, or they pay a lot and look good getting off the bus, but their coach will choke in the big games. There's some truth to that, but Ohio State is much further along than Texas A&M. Would you agree? They've played in college football championships recently. They played in the playoff. They're right there. Texas A&M, they ain't scared nobody. Does Mike Elko scare you?
Nope.
And Northwest Rankin Mike. The question is Bill, I think I meant O'Brien. Yeah, what does that do for you? Ohio State offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien.
Not a lot.
And I think this is going to catch us up. 601-885-3776. SEC football quarterback rankings courtesy of Brad Powers. Way too early going into spring, pre-spring. Check this out. He's got Brock Vandagriff, Kentucky, as the last quarterback ranked, 16th. I thought Brock Vandagriff was going to revive Kentucky even to a different level. Would you put him last?
Well, let's see. We thought that Kentucky, who was it last year that came in? I've already forgotten this.
That was...
it's your guy.
Yeah, let's go see who my guy was.
You loved him.
See, Devin Leary.
Leary, yeah. So, and look, I thought they were going to be good too. So, nope, that's false hope of that. Levis was supposed to be awesome. Then Leary was supposed to come in, and in some circles were saying that he was gonna actually take it up a notch from Levis. And neither time did I see anything just outstanding or earth-shattering. So I won't believe it on this man either.
Lenoris Sellers. Do you know who he plays for? South Carolina. Taking over for Spencer Rattler. He threw 4 passes last year at number 15. He's got a big hole to fill there. Taylon Green, Arkansas. Played at Boise State. He'll get the nod at number 14. 11 touchdowns, 9 picks, 436 yards rushing, and 9 TDs. Arkansas is going to be loose. You realize that, right? This whole thing's just spiraling for Sam Pittman. Number 13, Peyton Thorne, Auburn. Freeze needs to upgrade there, too. Number 12, Diego Pavilla, transfer quarterback, New Mexico State for Vanderbilt at number 12. Now, he's put some good numbers up out there. 26 touchdowns, 9 picks, 9 rushing yards, 928 yards rushing. He's a dual threat guy. But I don't know that he's going to elevate Vandy much more than where they're at. This ought to make look, Mississippi State's quarterback is not on the bottom. I mean, he's on the back end, but not the butt end. Blake Shapen, Mississippi State at number 11. Jackson Arnold, Oklahoma at number 10. And you look at taking over for now Dylan Gabriel gone. I don't know how good Oklahoma's going to be this year, but Jackson Arnold at number 10. Connor Wigman, Texas A&M, number 9. 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year. His season was cut short due to injury. And number 8, Gator Mats, Graham Mertz at number 8. We'll go through this list and more. Hour 3 coming up next.
Indeed. WRKS Pickens Jackson, where it's time to take a ride. Yes, we're back with Jake Wimberly on the afternoon drive. It's live, it's local, and it's on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Hour 3 starts right now, courtesy of Capital Grill in Jackson, 5050 I-55 North, Suite F. Your happy hour and afternoon destination starts right now. You can go have a game of pool, watch some sports, a little basketball, also chum it up with Lance and his staff about the NFL playoffs. Enjoy Michelob Ultra or Bud Light, courtesy of Southern Beverage. Please drink responsibly. Go to capitalgrillofjackson.com to learn more today. Also, facebook.com/Capital Grill of Jackson as you get the daily events at Capital Grill. Joseph Lisi, hour number 1, Sirius XM Satellite Radio. You can catch his show tonight, 7 to 9, channel 153. Carver and Lisi. Also, Chris Landry, 4 to 4:30. We had him on. It's all you and I and Beeve. And Beeve is trying to find ways for me to die today and to be checked out of here. So, well, here's the deal. Can I go ahead and just give you something today? In the event that I am out of here, I am making you, in the will that's not in the will, but it's his verbally stated, you will be the host of this show if I am gone. This is your show moving forward. Just put it out there. 601-897-1059. I do not know why him and Uncle Bill are trying to get me out of here, but I may not have long left. I hope I do. The real unnamed texter, did y'all notice this? Why did the Lions snap the ball early on the kneel down, and why did the Bucs not call a timeout here? Yeah, that was mentioned in a couple articles I saw. Just call it mismanagement of a timeout. It's the best way to look at it. And look, it happens. We see this in football. I mean, you've got a head coach, coordinators, staffers, all these guys and girls that are, headsets and all, and then you still lose some stuff like this. Jason in Flagstaff, I owe Will Levis an apology as he wasn't that bad for the Titans this year. Kentucky just isn't good enough everywhere else for any quarterback to make much difference in the SEC. It depends on what your expectations of Kentucky football is. I mean, if you're talking about a team that's going to win 7, 8, 9 ball games, it's pretty good. It's not bad for Kentucky. Let's go to Granny. Granny, happy Monday.
Jake, happy Monday. It's about sunset at Monday. It's dark and gray and thankfully not icy, so we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, Jake, I'm calling an early spring. What do you think about that?
I'm here for it. I know that.
I think it was about. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know that you helped write the Farmer's Almanac, so I would assume that maybe you've got some inside knowledge on this.
And that's what I was going to say. Jake, there was a year about 2018 or 2016, somewhere around there. We hit a year where we got a cold snap in January like we did this year, and then all of a sudden we hit freezing that first week of February, and we did not have another freezing day the rest of that whole quote unquote spring. None of the rest of February, none March, because I tracked it. But that's only happened one time since I've been gardening down here in the Jackson Metro in the past 15 to 17 years.
Hey, I'm here for it if it happens.
Yeah, I didn't garden when I was living in an apartment. We did keep roses outside of our apartment in the big potted plants, and that's a different story for a different day. There was this one time that Granny had some fun at the old condo that Granny lived in, and ended up the person he had fun with, he kind of said he didn't want to be permanent relations. Well, he went back to his normal sweetheart that normal weekend to sweet up to her, and that whole weekend that when he went to sweet up then, by the time he got back to the condo, guess what? All the roses, like big, huge potted rose plants in front of my condo were all gone in Louisville, Jake.
Oh, no.
He came back and stole my roses.
That's not good.
No, true story, though. You learn a lesson. You don't play fire, you don't get burnt. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that brings me to my next point. Why in the heck are you trying to pick another Michigan team? This ain't the automotive days, Jake. We're building batteries in Marshall County. The Detroit days are over. We got Marshall County now.
I haven't officially picked Detroit. I just was leaning thinking, should I?
But I'm serious. We got the electric battery system coming in. Forget Detroit. Don't be pulling for them.
You got
Let me
it.
ask you one other question, Jake.
Yeah.
You're from Florence, right?
Yes. Granny?
What? Yeah, I don't know how to really ask this.
Oh, no.
Was there anybody in your family that knew how to cook fried pork chops? And I'm going to leave you with that. Y'all have a good day.
Absolutely, Granny. I don't say this a whole lot, Beeve. Did you ever watch Yellowstone? No, you never did. I grew up on a miniature Yellowstone. I had a grandmother that could cook pork chops, grandfather that could cook great pork chops. My mother could, my father could, and guess what? I can too. So we are essentially a fried pork chop family, an heir to the fried pork chop. Is that fair? 601-885-3776. That is the Cowboy Maloney's text line. Mitchell, when I hear the word sassy, this woman's voice is all I hear. Who is this woman? People have to tell me who that is. Let's see here. Aquatic Waves. If you were owner of an NFL team and you had your choice of these quarterbacks, who would you pick to be your quarterback? Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, and Josh Allen. Out of those, let's see. Burrow, Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, Josh Allen. I'm still going Patrick Mahomes. I think he has so much gas left in the tank. And despite all of the stuff with the family, and because if I start the NFL franchise, he's going to have to do this without Travis Kelce. It's just going to have to happen. 100% going to have to happen. All right, looking at these other quarterbacks, Carson Beck gets number one pre-spring ranking in the SEC. I think that is fair in the SEC, courtesy of Brad Powers, 247sports.com. Quinn Ewers, Texas at number 2. Jackson Dart, number 3. And I think that's fair as well. You know, when I look at my quarterback rankings, I had all this punched out last week. You know, you look at Beck, Dart, Ewers, they're all right there at the top. And let's see, where does he have? Number 4, Jalen Milroe. And you can make a case for Jalen Milroe being the best quarterback in the SEC. It's just, how is he going to be used in this new system of Caleb DeBoer? And it looks like he's going to stick around. You know, there was the fake reports of him jumping into the transfer portal, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Number 5, Brady Cook, Missouri. You're talking about a guy who threw 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions last year, 8 touchdowns rushing, 319 yards on the ground, 66% completion percentage. Brady Cook had a really good year and will be the catalyst for Missouri's offense this coming up year. Nico Iamaleava, ever how you want to say it, he's number 6. A small sample size, 314 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the upside to this young man and everything that you hear, I mean, he could be the best quarterback in the SEC come next year, but we'll see. There was no call on that after all of that? What was that?
It's a first. It's a new low. That call was simply to ask me a knock-knock joke. Yeah.
Who was that? Brandon?
You. Yes, it was. I contemplated saying who it was because I'm okay with calling people out, but that was so dumb that I really didn't even want to put that on Brando. But you knew. What does that say about Brando? That you knew who that was when I said that.
I figured it was Brando or Space Ghost.
There's two good guesses.
So what was the knock-knock joke? Or is it even anything you can say on the air?
Oh, yeah, it is, but I don't want to repeat it because it was real dumb.
Gator Matt. Granny just outed himself by saying his apartment. I knew it. Nope, Matt, your phone broke up. That was your Motorola. Granny said that when she was referring to him, she was referring to the person who took the roses. Is that not right, Beef?
Mm-hmm.
Your Motorola broke up, Matt. Chief Shooting Bull. Granny is the definition of sassy. Monkeys riding dogs. Believe it or not, Jake can skin a buck, roll a trot line, and stuff some animals. That is absolutely a fact. 100%. Joe, come on, Jake. We know you have the inside scoop. Where's Will Rogers going to be this fall? Joe, I can't tell you that yet. That should be out here in the next few days. So that should be out in the next few days. I really don't know myself. 601-885-3776. We're brought to you by our friends at Clinton Body Shop. 601-924-2159. OEM factory certified. All the manufacturers you trust at Clinton Body Shop. Hey, your family's safety and your car's value is number one with Clinton Body Shop. OEM factory certified. Learn more today. ClintonBodyShop.com.
Bad counsel.
Turning to sports.
With Jake Wimberly on the afternoon drive.
One of the last pure pleasures I have left in my life.
Yeah, maybe you ought to get a life first, okay? On ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at TheZone1059.com.
We're brought to you by Ashley Howie, Cry Like Realtors, 769-226-3782, Facebook.com/Ashley Howie Realtor if you're looking to buy, sell, or relocate. We're also brought to you by Maristar Casino. Get out and play today. You've got the odds that are out. We'll see how much these lines change over the week when we visit with Keith Hardy, kicking with Keith Friday from Ameristar, 4:30. Chiefs, 3.5-point dog on the road at Baltimore. Detroit, a 7. That's moved a half a point since we've been here. Niners now a 7-point favorite. It's moved a half a point since we started the show. Total at 51. What do you think?
That's fast moving.
It is. Money coming in on the 49ers. I don't think you want to let this thing trickle out to 7.5 or 8. You better get on the. I think the 49ers are going to win. Lions are going to cover. Is that fair? I'm pulling for 4-quarter ball games. All right. So you said from Space. Well, you got a call from Space Ghost.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to journey back 45 seconds. You were giving the Ashley Howie read. Ashley Howie, noted Bucks fan, who was the one that was talking about last week, screw Tom Brady. I told you before the season, she was all like, yeah, let's get the Brady era out of here. Would you like to have had him yesterday in a do-over? I think so.
I don't know that Tom Brady makes that boneheaded throw Baker Mayfield made.
No.
Because I really thought, now look at this. When I was watching that game in my head in real time, I was thinking, now how would this look if Baker Mayfield drives them down and wins this ball game, and then he throws that pick? And I was like, nope, there it is. There it is.
There's Baker.
There's Baker
what he's bacon.
Speaking of bacon, what was Space Ghost bacon?
All right, so the last break, or not even the last break, during the segment, Brando called and he just called to give me a dumb knock-knock joke. And you guessed it was either Brando or Space Ghost without even knowing who it was, just by the information that they called me with that. So, not to be outdone, they're in the break. Space Ghost calls. Space Ghost calls 4 minutes ago to say, why doesn't Jake ever give out the phone number anymore? I says to him, why are you so worried about it? Clearly you have it because I'm talking to you on it. Well, I'm just saying. But why is it? It was like it was a dire concern for him.
But I do give it out. Beginning of the show, about twice an hour, I give the number out. 601-897-1059. It's the Malone Roofing caller line. Why does he knows the number?
He knows the number. That's why I found it so odd. I'm literally talking to him. You called here. So why is this concerning you? Classic Space Ghost.
Very weird. Bama fan. Roll Tide Milroe. Best quarterback in the league. Beaver, do you think Jalen Milroe is the best quarterback coming back in the SEC?
Yes.
You can make a case for it. He shows up as number one on my way too early quarterback rankings, by the way, by just a little bit. Over the others, Dart, Beck, Ewers. Yeah, I think you can definitely argue that. Tyler Durden, Atlanta head coaching search interviews. Arthur Blank, tell me about a time, Bill Belichick, where you faced adversity. He says we were losing 28-3 at the half. That's very well done. Gator Matt, Jake, I bet Granny can hang power clean more than you. It's probably true. And Bulldog Blitz, never figured you for a country boy. I mean, like country from Mississippi. You're a deer hunter and you call high school football games. That has to be torture. He says you give the number all the time. It's not torture for me. Let me tell you why. Because while I do love the great outdoors and respect everything with the great outdoors, I don't get in the woods that much anymore because of, and I love work and ball more than I do the outdoors. Does that make sense? So if I get a chance to go, I'm going to go. But if I don't go, it's fine. So it's more about football trumps hunting and fishing for me. It always has. It always has. Because I grew up in a very, very aggressive, competitive hunting family. Much like a travel baseball team, but for hunting. And by the time I was 14, I was burnt out of it. And I gravitated more to sports. And I was like, it's good to get in the woods, but it's much better to be on a football field or be around a football field. That's the way I've always been. Is that bad of me?
No, not at all. I'd pick that too. Plus, I don't want you out in the woods because, this kick I've been on
You've
today.
already killed me 2 or 3 times.
No, I'm trying to help save you. I'm worried about you, about these things. And if you're out in the woods, look, there could be bears, snakes, tick bites. So I'd rather you not be out there.
Yeah, I lived in the woods as a kid and a teenager and been around it my whole life. Love it still love it. When I'm around it, I'm like, man, I need to get out here more. I got to do this again more. It is something that, and you guys and girls that do this know, something to be said to be in the woods. You don't have to kill anything. You don't have to harvest anything. Just to be in the woods. It's very relaxing. It's self-meditating. It really is. I'm out there, I'm like, man, I need to do this more. But then doing ball and games and all that stuff, it's just like that's where it's kind of like the old dog, the old hunting dog's going to sniff out a little bloodhound. That's where my nose goes. Is that fair? Bulldog Blitz says nothing wrong with that. My family is more into football and I'm more into hunting, so it makes sense. Yeah, see, there you go. The inverse of that. All right, let's see here. Where did I want to go next? So we were talking about the Bills. There's an article out here on CBSSports.com. Bills Super Bowl window might be closing. Do you think that is true? Chris Landry says no. He said they got to get more physical. I would agree with that.
Who did you say to me, Bills?
The Bills. Buffalo.
That Super Bowl window never actually existed. I never bought it the past 3 years, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Bills Super Bowl window might be closing, breaking down NFL crazy division around 13 crazy playoff stats. Before I get into that, Bulldog Blitz, my wife's family's from Florence. You remember the Perry drugstore? Absolutely. Let me tell you this. Before there was Walgreens and before there was CVS's, there was Perry's, right? Look, my world was simple growing up, and I like my world simple kind of now. It was Jerry's Catfish House, and look, I am not apologetic about it. Jerry's Catfish House, Western Sizzler, Perry's Drugstore, Jitney Jungle. Now let's either get in the woods or go play football, or let's go out on the old dirt roads and we're going to fight. Pretty simple life, right? Kind of condensed it down to this, told you. It's baby Yellowstone. Somebody's going to the train station, by the way, at some point. So pretty simple life.
That was an interesting addition, that Jitney Jungle at the end.
You don't remember the Jitney Jungles?
Of course I remember Jitney Jungle.
Yeah.
But why is that such a large part of your life? What happened at Jitney Jungle?
Oh, nothing. That's just where, that's like, you used to shop at Jitney Jungle. That's where you kind of bagged your groceries at Jitney Jungle. I worked at Jitney Jungle as a kid, as a teenager. There's a lot that went on at Jitney Jungle.
Oh, okay. That Jitney Jungle. I still find it so strange that the one in Brandon is now the City Hall.
You were blown away by that. You were talking about that last week.
Yeah, that venue is just so strange. Like Breaking Benjamin is there Friday. I'm going to go see it. But I'm intrigued by this. The fact that that's a music venue. City Hall Live. It's never really made sense to me.
I told you I went several years ago. It's not a bad place to watch a gig. Bullseye Blitz. O.E. Perry was my father-in-law. Good as they make them. Absolutely. They had Small World. Small World. Monkeys Riding Dogs. Don't forget the Sunflower. Yeah, Sunflower was a staple back then, too. Did you ever shop at a Sunflower?
Sunflower. I remember the Sunflower, but I don't think I ever went into one.
Yeah, Sunflower was, even up until 10 years ago, and I haven't been in a while, there was an active Sunflower in Columbus, Mississippi. May still be. I have no idea. Hey, we're brought to you by Bailey Lumber. 2 locations to serve you in the metro. Go to Brandon's location, 2150 Mississippi Highway 471. And, of course, you can go to 4525 John Lynch Street in Jackson, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. BaileyLumber.com. Lumber, doors, windows, hardware, everything you need. GF, roofing specials, and more. BaileyLumber.com. Time out on the floor.
It's time to get
back in the game
with Jake Wimberly and the Afternoon Drive.
That's entertainment.
On the station that specializes in the Mississippi sports you love.
Now we're talking.
Live and local on ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
We're brought to you by Waze Energy Drinks. 4 great flavors to get your hands on around central Mississippi. Rescue, respond, engage, and revive. Go to wazeenergy.com to find out more today. Also go to facebook.com/Waze Energy. Get the interactive map where you can find great locations like MJ Food Mart, Fast Lane, Lake Harbor Chevron, Brandon Market, and more. A great zero sugar, high caffeine drink. A portion of the proceeds support the Gary Sinise Foundation. All right, let me see here before I get into these stats on the NFL this weekend. Bama fan. Bama is adding portal players. They are. So they will be in the SEC hunt. They will. 11-1 or 12-0. I can't give them that. Georgia will be the game. If Bama wins, they'll be 12-0. Or do we really want to say, can we do that? I mean, I'm not saying they can't be 12-0. New coach, new staff. I can't give them that yet. I haven't worked this. I mean, here's the deal. Even if Bama's 10-2, they're still likely in the playoff. Are they a playoff team? I think so. Do you think they're a playoff team?
Yeah. Yes, I do. But to say 11-1 or 12-0 when you just lost Nick Saban, you are basically saying to me everything will remain exactly the same. You just lost the greatest college football head coach of all time. That doesn't matter. It's going to be the exact same. 11-1. That doesn't even make sense.
That plus the fact that you lost 25 guys in the portal that would rank around 6 as a collective class. Yes, Bama will put more guys back on the roster, especially after spring. I think there's a step back. There's a reset of sorts. Now, it may not be a big reset. And look, if Bama, here's the thing. If Bama goes undefeated this year, 2024, then that will tell me that Nick Saban has built this program so much that the program is greater than he is. Does that make sense? Then anybody can come in and fly the jet and land it perfectly. I don't know that that's the case. Let's see. Bama fans, still most of the players back and chip on the shoulder on all of them. Well, there can be a chip. I mean, I get it. But look, there's 25 guys out that I can't. Well, let's just see. I don't know how much the chip on the shoulder really.
You know what? Now, okay. We have seen examples. Miami comes to mind when Coker took over. And he came in and they just went on that stupid winning streak. He was riding the ship. And then, 4 years in, the wheels just started falling completely off. So maybe it could be, you come in there and it is still kind of status quo. But then you start seeing the cracks maybe 2-3 years in.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, and I like the fact you brought up Miami. That's a great comparison in the fact that you're talking about dynasties. Because the Miami program coming out of Howard Schnellenberger to Jimmy Johnson was a machine, more so on the Johnson side than the Schnellenberger. Schnellenberger's last year, 1983, they went 11-1. But there was a reset. Johnson went 8-5, and then he went 10-2, 11-1, and down the road we go. Dennis Erickson took that program a handoff in 1989 because Johnson was off to the Dallas Cowboys. Erickson went 11-1 after Johnson went 11-1, then 10-2, 12-0, 11-1, then 9-3, 10-2, and then Butch Davis. But there wasn't a transfer portal back then. There wasn't a mass exodus of players. So we'll see. We got our first football season bet of the year. I like this. Bama fan. If Bama is 10-2, I'll bring you and Beeve lunch. If they go 11-1, y'all owe me lunch. Deal. What do you think?
Deal.
I like it. Let's see here. Jason in Flagstaff. There's a sunflower in Tishomingo still. How about that? Possum Neck Joe. Jackson, Mississippi, chain grocery supermarket, location. What did he send us here? Groceteria.com. So this is a map of all. I like this, Joe. Look what you got going here. So, Beav, you can see where all your grocery stores are. I have to check this out. And Aquatic Waves. What is realistic expectations for Mississippi State in 24-25? 5-7 game wins or win explosive offense, be competitive, and try to make a bowl. Are you excited about who they brought in? I think what Mississippi State has done is very positive. I think the coaching change was absolutely needed. I think there's a lot more excitement around the program. The offense is going to be better. How is the defense going to be? That's a question mark. And look, the offense has got to get on the same page too. I think 5-6 wins. Is that fair for State? I think 5-6 wins, and I don't think that's an indictment on the program if they go 5-7. I just think the program's got a long way to go, and they're doing the best that they can under the conditions that they're in. All right, let's see here real quick. Let me go back over here. Hey, what do you think Tim Tebow would have made in the transfer portal, the collective era?
Millions.
What about Cam Newton? Would people have been able to even afford that guy?
No, that was basically, you know what? That was Carl and Caleb Williams before Carl and Caleb Williams. 14 years later. Cam Newton and his dad. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, that's true. I was just lost for a minute at Bulldog Blitz saying Jason in Flagstaff doesn't know what he's talking about. Bulldog Blitz, why did he go after Jason? They're on the same team. But yeah, you're right. Cam Newton, that was basically the collective going on, right? The Church of Newton was the collective. Brian Bosworth, would he have demanded high price money?
Yeah.
What about, here's a good one. What about Randy Moss? He'd have cleaned up. He would have cleaned up. And I don't know if the deal, remember he started at Florida State, had some off the field issues, ends up at Marshall. I don't know that he stays at Marshall in this era. Like if Randy Moss was playing college football today at Marshall, would he be at Marshall? Like last year to this year, would he stayed at Marshall?
No, there would be multiple transfers.
And this says, what about any Notre Dame quarterback? I don't know that any Notre Dame quarterback would have made a ton of money. And let's see here. That's all on this list of, thinking about guys. Who's another guy that would have demanded top dollar in college football that didn't play in that era?
Your friend Baker Mayfield.
I think you're right. What about Kyler Murray?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking through here. What about the Florida quarterbacks outside of Tebow before that? Danny Warfel, those guys.
Chris Leak could have made a little money. I don't think he would have been worth millions. When you look at the transfers, the number of transfers, too, talking about how Moss would have transferred a few times. I mean, Brock Purdy's little brother just transferred again already.
Where is he at now?
Let's see. He's going to Nevada after he just committed to San Jose State. After 2 years ago, he went to Nebraska from Florida State.
Now, I just got a text here from a friend that says Tim Tebow would not have taken NIL money out of principle. Can we say that?
No. I mean, I know, look, he was a man of integrity, and that's one of the things I liked about him, but
and you think about
money's a different story for people.
People tried to find dirt on Tebow. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. They tried. They couldn't find anything. Nothing. And he was clean, to what we know, squeaky clean, playing for Urban Meyer at Florida when they had all of that jizz and whatever going on over there at Florida. All of whatever was going on at Florida. What was the Hernandez guy?
Yeah.
All of that. Every bit of it. And Tim Tebow was squeaky clean. So maybe he wouldn't have taken money. Maybe he would have done it for the love of the game. We're brought to you by our friends at Ranco Transmission, 1460 Old Brandon Road in Flowood, 601-939-9184. 50-plus years, foreign and domestic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the time has come to go back.
Back to the afternoon drive with Jake Wimberly. With the hottest sports stories of the day.
for one of those moments that only happens
Right here.
On ESPN 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Final segment on a Monday. Flint Minshew in with us tomorrow. We'll also have Kelly Ford from thelines.com. Thanks to Joseph Lisi and Chris Landry jumping in today. We're brought to you by Maristar Casino. Get out and play. We're also brought to you by New South Neurospine. ns2.md is the website. Same-day appointments can be made at ns2.md or walk in their clinic in Flowood. That's New South Neurospine, Mississippi Spine Center. Monkeys Riding Dog says, imagine Deion Sanders transfer portal. Bulldog Blitz. Let's see here. He says Flagstaff is like a pet peeve of mine. He's annoying. One of those guys that talks like they know when they really just don't know. Good Lord. Do we have a new battle here all of a sudden? Yeah. I think Bulldog Blitz just called Jason and Flagstaff to the parking lot. That turned sideways. Here's Jason. Huh? What do I not know about I'm talking about? Sunflower, Tishomingo County, and he sends us a Facebook link. You just never know who's gonna call each other out on this show, do you? It's wild. All right, let's see here. Some stats from the weekend or questions. Are the Chiefs now the team to beat in the playoffs? With both top seeds, the Ravens and the 49ers, advancing to the conference title round. Seems kind of crazy to think that the Chiefs may be the team to beat, but it kind of feels like that is an absolute, that's something that can happen. That could be. Are the Chiefs the team to beat? Not only have they stepped up in the playoffs, but they're the defending champs until someone knocks them out. And this writer says, I certainly wouldn't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Are the Chiefs the team to beat?
Can't refute it. That combined with the Bills' miserable history of failures last week, that's why Yeah, tons of people were going against Buffalo. I can't. Same thing I told you last week, basically. When it comes down to it, I'm not going to bet against Mahomes. And I dislike them so much, the duo of Mahomes and Kelsey.
Wait a minute.
I can't bet against that.
I thought you were all on board hour one with this. This whole Swift thing, Kelsey thing.
I'm not on board. Jake, you don't remember me telling you after that February of 2020. That's when I first really developed the strongest dislike for Travis Kelce.
Yes.
I think he's a total jackass because that's when he showed up at the hotel press conference. Totally different things. Not press conference. I can't even find my words. The parade. See, this is how much this guy gets my goat. The parade. Wearing his $7,000 mink coat. Drunk, obnoxious, butchering the Beastie Boys.
I remember this.
Yelling it and then just kept it going like it was something new. You know how I feel about people over wearing things out, and that was this guy. No, I've never been on board with this man.
Who's better suited for the future, the Packers or the Texans?
Let's see. Easier division, Texans. So I will say the Texans because of that. Easier division.
601-885-3776. That is the Cowboy Maloney's text line. We got a few minutes here. Beeb's going to try to grab a call. There's some conspiracy theorists out there that believe the NFL is still rigged. Something came across the ticker here. This is all over the old TikToks and social media platforms. Already calling for a San Francisco Ravens Super Bowl. Have you guys seen this in a commercial or some sort of an infograph? Again, I'm not one that believes the NFL is rigged, but this is something that is out there on the social media platforms. Also, let's see here. Where else was I going to go with this as I close some of this stuff down? College football quarterback transfer grades. We'll get into this tomorrow. Notre Dame gets an A. Florida State a C+. And we'll get into some of these grades as we look at, some of this, like Austin Mack. Is he going to come in and compete from Washington to Alabama? What about Baylor? Baylor gets a transfer quarterback from Toledo. Boise State gets a USC quarterback, Malachi Nelson. Can he get Boise State back to where they're used to living, which is winning the Mountain West and also a chance to get into the college football playoff? Malik Murphy will be the quarterback at Duke from Texas. And I think that's going to go a long way to helping Manny Diaz in year one at Duke. DJ Uiagalelei, Oregon State, also Clemson, heads to Florida State. Can he do what Jordan Travis did this past year, which is have a fantastic year and keep Florida State relevant? And I think that he can. Again, Brock Vandagriff, Georgia to Kentucky. Cameron Ward, Washington State, and Incarnate Word to the University of Miami. Boy, he has had a heck of a track here. Incarnate Word, Washington State, now Miami. Spuns the NFL draft, and now he has an opportunity. We'll get into all of this. We have something on the phones? We're good. Do you have any final thoughts on a Monday? Do we have state basketball this week that's going to interfere with the show?
No, I think their game Wednesday is at 7.
Okay. And I still didn't get into any college basketball stuff, but we will tomorrow. Thanks to Joseph Lisi, also Chris Landry. Remember, ketchup is king, bacon's a delicacy. Aloha means goodbye. Bulldog Blitz, you and Jason and Flagstaff, hug it out. We will see you tomorrow. It will be Tuesday. Grab a rain jacket. It's going to rain the next few days. Late.